Welcome to the Make Ready podcast. This episode, you'll notice I'm joined by my co-coach in the Make Ready Brotherhood, in the Make Ready organisation, Adam Glover. Welcome, Adam.
Hello, Daniel. It's good to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be good. I'm going to enjoy this. So for listeners, Adam is our performance nutritionist within the Brotherhood. And after 4-5 years of running this solo, it feels good to have another man on board, helping coach, helping facilitate, helping share his wisdom, his experience. This series of episodes are going to be me and Adam chatting, talking about everything around masculinity, how we can show up as men, and bringing in some of our lived experience. So Adam brings 15 years from the military. You've just got out, haven't you, Adam?
Yeah, I left in January this year after 15 years service. So people people who serve, they call it adulting for the first time. That's how I put it.
And how are you finding that?
Oh, it's a challenge. It's been a big challenge and a big learning curve in my life of trying to figure out how to do civilian police as like a normal person. I know that sounds really weird, but there are certain things and certain ways that people act in the military that are no longer like you just don't do that in civil industry. And like you and I have had really good conversations over what the years that I've known you now about who I am as a person, my morals, and I felt like I kind of lost that when I left the military, lost that bit of identity, but I'm doing something that I'm incredibly passionate about, as I'm hoping people will see, is that okay, this is what he loves doing, and I enjoy it. So yeah, it's been a difficult path, but also quite an enjoyable one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I think from our conversations and that feeling of sort of loss of leaving the military, that loss of brotherhood, that loss of you're part of something, right? You were part of a team that you spent a lot of time, energy, and effort putting into, and then you've come out and it's from my perspective, it's been like you have to rebuild who Adam Glover is.
Yeah, I'd agree with that because you put on these like you talk about hats, right? And I was still doing the nutrition stuff when I was serving towards the end, and I was trying to juggle the hats. And there's the soldier, what I did day to day. Then there's the nutrition coach. Then there's the husband and the father, and there's all those things. And obviously, like you can't juggle all those hats perfectly. There's times where some of the hats don't get touched. And that was I noticed that a lot, and like you said, it's having to rebuild who I am now. And there's so many things that have happened over the past 9 months where I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You kind of like that. That's good. You enjoy doing that. And when we first started talking about working together as a team to help men and to help grow the brotherhood and to impact men's lives, I knew very early on. I was like, this is a thing. This is going to be good, and this is something where I can help and understand who I am in that journey as well. Because it isn't just me going, hey, here's some food. It's me going, okay, who am I in this space? My name's Adam, and how are you? Tell me about, and coming that shared connection. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's been it's that shared vision, and we met probably 18 months, a couple of years ago now, and I've never been, I haven't been in the military, so that bond that you've got, but I have been a martial artist for 18 years, and the camaraderie I felt, preparing for fights, preparing for competition, traveling with that has been really important for me. And it wasn't actually until sort of lockdown and stuff that when I couldn't train, I realised how much I missed that and how important that was in my life. And for me, Make Ready is creating this brotherhood is a place where we have that camaraderie, but through all facets of life. So it's, yes, we can challenge each other to do the physical aspects, which we're going to talk about today, but we're also going to be there to, it's a healthy environment where we can see and hear one another, and talk about real things, and we don't have to worry about saying something and being made fun of or having the banter. It's like, actually, like, I want to get to the root of it, to the core of what's going on, and it's having a brotherhood. I always say, like, for I relate it to my martial art experience, right? So it was always me in the ring fighting on my own. I didn't do any of that crazy stuff you see in Eastern Europe, where then have the teams fighting each other. It was always me fighting alone in that ring. But to get there, I had and while I was in there, I had a corner team, had a coaching team. Outside of that, I had a whole training team behind me that supported me to that point. And I really feel like that's what life is. Like, we need our coaching teams. That's kind of where we come in for the men in the Brotherhood. Yeah.
Interestingly, you'll probably remember this. Back when £2 coins were a thing. Now,
Yeah.
remember £2 coins, the big thick £2 coins? I'm going with it somewhere. Bear with me. I don't know where it's from, and I should probably know because I like a quote, as you know. But around the rim of that £2 coin was standing on the shoulders of giants. Is that something that you felt like when you had a team and like when you were stepping into the ring, was like, okay, I'm here because of that, because of them behind me, because I wouldn't be able to be here ready to go for that, for whatever combat I'm about to receive or take part in. Without them, I wouldn't be able to be in this position. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And so many people used to play a part in that, from people who'd never fought and would never fight. They're there as sort of hobbyists, but they were pad holders. They created a training environment where I showed up. A lot of them everyone was pretty good pad holders because everyone had to hold pads.
Yeah.
So you'd get people who had never fought holding for the professional fighters, and all the people who like sparring. They're sparring partners. They don't want to fight, but they're actually in the gym. They're pretty good sparring partners, and it's like that. Without each one of those pieces, I wouldn't be able to, get to the position where I'm there, able to do the thing.
Really interesting that even though it's you in the end of it, so to speak, at the tip of the spear, right? You are there at the point of that spear, ready to exact, for want of a better word, extreme violence on somebody else, to within a realm of, the competition.
Yeah.
But without the backing of that weight upon you, it would have been pointless. And I think there's a lesson in that so many people, when they expect themselves to be at that tip of the spear, like, yeah, it's all me, it's all that. Without anything behind you, you're not there.
No. And that's why I think this whole lone wolf mentality is a load of rubbish, because you are built on you do stand on the shoulders of other people, and you're lifted up by all the lessons, and that's why it's important we have mentors, we have peers, we have people that we help, because there's so much lessons and gifts in being able to support someone else. Every time I have to teach someone, or I choose to teach someone martial arts, I have to break down what I'm doing, and it kind of relearns it, and then I have to re-question. So there's learning in all of it, and we're not here to go through life alone. It's not the way. So that's, it's bringing all of that into what we're doing with Make Ready, and be like, men, it's a team sport. You have to go back to your families, as the father, as the husband. You're there. Yes, the burden is on your shoulders. It's your responsibility. But collectively, you've got a whole group of men behind you, backing you up.
Yeah, I agree with that. When you look at the Brotherhood and the men that are there, it's more than a support network. I feel like it's a connection, a camaraderie. We said that word a couple of times already, and it's something I think everybody needs, and you can only truly understand just how much you need it once you've accepted yourself into it, if that makes sense. Because people can buy into a program or they can do anything, right? But unless they open themselves to that program and be willing to be, I hate the word, influenced, if they're willing to be taken on board the things that are being asked of them, you'll then see the true value of what, and that's what I found. I found massively from the Brotherhood. And as a period of my life where I was questioning direction, camaraderie, am I part of something, am I not part of something? And you lean into this whole point of actually, there's a group of people here who want me to succeed. And I would never have maybe have met them. And their unique perspective, and it's not even problem solving, it's just the support that you feel, and it's more than a support group. But you can't know that until you see it and you feel it, right? And that was very powerful for me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I think it's also having a culture of wanting each other to be better. There's that aspect of challenge that I must admit, when I first started holding space, it was it was to hold space for men, to give them that space just to be seen and heard and witnessed without the banter, without the unsolicited advice. Just it's a place where it'd be like, yeah, I'm going through some stuff, and having men be like, yeah, we're here, you dude. And so often, and that's really powerful, because it's sometimes you don't need the advice. However, sometimes we want advice. We need that advice. We need that counsel. We need to be like, men, I don't actually trust my decision making at the moment. Can you, check me on this, please? And equally, it's offering that accountability, saying, hey, dude, I thought we said we're going to lose some weight. I know you've been zoned out. You're not checking in as much. Just checking in. Do we need to get back on track?
Completely agree. That accountability, but not in like an overbearing way.
No.
Because it comes from a place of people actually wanting to see you do well, not highlighting your failing. It's like, I know you, I know what you're like, and I know that actually right now this is probably a bit of a time where you're shying away from something. Do we need to? Is there anything we can do? How are you? Just let's talk. Let's check in. What's the thing that's holding you back? And again, it's not, like I said, it's not, oh, that's terrible, you should be doing that, you should just do this. It's none of those things. There's no judgment. Just like there's no unsolicited advice unless it's not specifically requested, because sometimes we know, but it's there as a network to keep you accountable to the man you are trying to be, not the man you're acting like. And there's a big difference there, right? And I like the idea that that's what the Brotherhood. I don't like the idea. I love the idea that is what the Brotherhood brings out in me, in you, and all the other men that's in the group.
Yeah, and it's balance, and then there's times we get it wrong, But I really love the sort of the concept that I heard at another men's work group or coach, who it's the difference between, like, we're not calling people out, we're calling them in. Which I think the quality is very different. It's like an arm around the shoulder. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
We've got some work to do. I know you're struggling. I see you're struggling. I've been there, or I am there. However, this group's not about giving each other excuses and permission to sabotage ourselves. And I can't hold more than two hands up, but I sabotage myself a lot. I know that. I have my own shadows and my own struggles that I find challenging. But again, that's why I have accountability. You hold me accountable to that. The fact that I have to lead by example, I want to choose to lead by example, holds me accountable to that. So, yeah. So on that is bringing in, for me, like when I talk about accountability and sabotage, like for me, it's the physical pillar, as you know.
Yeah.
That's been my challenge, my path. And obviously, you being the performance nutritionist is why I brought you into the Brotherhood. So sort of my background, I was a personal trainer, and a martial artist for many, many years. But alongside that, I've had various challenges with my health. I got into martial arts off the back of being an obese kid, and I've been quite obese since. But it's always in, in waves, and quite impressive ones as well. But I know the importance of health and fitness. Yeah, I also sometimes sabotage myself. I've struggled with like addiction. I'm coming up to 7 years sober because I knew alcohol was just not a good thing in my life. So yeah, the whole time holding firmly in the belief that health and fitness is one of the most important pillars that we can, or the most important, because without it, I'm pretty knackered. Which is why I wanted to make it to the forefront of the work, because I realised that we can kind of spiritual bypass our way and mentally bypass our way through stuff. It's okay, I'm learning, or I'm meditating, I'm spiritual. And none of that is any good, and it's not actually walking the walk or embodied if we're not looking after our health. So I was like, Adam, we need you, dude. I need you. Come on down. So yeah, and you are very passionate about nutrition, about health and fitness. So tell me about that. Where did that come from?
Oh, that's actually quite an interesting story. So it was circa 2015, 2016. I'd been a soldier at that point for 5 or 6 years. In fact, no, it was 2014, apologies. So I've been a soldier for 4 years. I'd done some operational deployments in the Middle East, done that kind of whole bag of things, right? But at the time, the military's mentality towards health and fitness was like, pass the tests. When you're not in work, you're drunk.
Yeah.
Because that was the connection. That was the camaraderie that we built. Like, it wasn't about we must all have alcohol. It was about the connection with the group of people you were with. Mm. And so that became it just became this thing. It was normal. Everybody, like, there's this thing like, Thursday night is International Army Drinking Night Out. Like, that's when people, because everyone usually goes home on a Friday if they lived in the UK, if they lived overseas, like if you're posted in Germany, maybe not the case. So, but alcohol was a massive part of it. And so for the first 4 years, I was able to operate, I was able to do everything I needed to do, or was able to soldier, do everything I need to do, and I passed the test, and I was a young lad, right? Early 20s, could do anything. I was like, yeah, sweet, cool, throw it at me. I could be drinking up until 6 o'clock in the morning, turn up to a training session an hour later, and be thrashed across a field, and I'd be okay. I'd be like, yeah, whatever, fine. People might be a bit surprised by that statement, but go and find a soldier and ask them to be honest about what it was like in those days. And before I joined, things started to change for me around 2014, 2015, 2016. I realised that if I want to be good at this, if I want to be a good soldier, if I want to be the best I can be, that isn't serving me as a habit. Not serving me to be the fittest, to be the fastest, and I never was the fittest or the fastest or the strongest, never been me. Okay, but to be the best soldier I can be, my kit squared away, all that. And I was like, right, I need to get a grip of this health and fitness thing. I can pass the test, that's great, that's fine, but there's going to become a day where I'm struggling for that. So I need to start training. And unfortunately, you can all hate me if you want, for anybody who's watching this, CrossFit became a mentality. All right, I watched CrossFit. I was like, that's awesome. He's wearing a weight vest. He's throwing himself around. He's doing these crazy pull-ups. This is awesome. Let's do that stuff. And I started training very badly at it. Just that usual thing. Do you know when people kind of throw themselves into something and they throw themselves at 1,000 miles an hour and they don't let up until they're injured and they wonder why they get injured? Spoiler alert: is you're trying to do too much too soon. And so I started doing CrossFit. Started training, watching all the streams and all that sort of stuff, learning, and I was like, right, nutrition. That's a place where I'm lacking in understanding. So I thought, carbs are bad, protein good. That's it. And I thought, that's what you do. And I started to learn. And in those first few years, I was like, yeah, I bought the protein bread, I bought the this, I bought the that. I did all of the thing. Like, actually, it was a thing that said back in the day, protein bread. Like, and in 2014, that was a big thing. You're like, oh my god, it's protein bread, you know. And then by the time 2016, 2017, 2018 kind of rolled around, and I wasn't really any better. I was fitter, I was stronger because I was training, great. But I didn't feel great. I didn't feel powerful, I didn't feel strong, I didn't feel energized. I was like, there's something missing here. I was like, do I just have to go and learn this stuff? Because like everybody here, you could open this thing right now, scroll for 5 seconds before you find somebody eating off a chopping board, screaming about you shouldn't eat this thing or you shouldn't do that, or Eddie Abu, like we have our discussions about him, but you know what I mean? Where it's so over the top. People read that if they've got into the first time their lives in health and fitness and they don't know what to understand it. We've got one feed telling you don't eat bread. You've got another feed telling you eat bread. Like, and I was like, I can't do this. I need to learn. I need to go and learn. And initially I started doing stuff myself. Then I followed a course. I did a course and it was off a company called the BTN Academy. And it just sort of steamrolled. 3 years later, I completed all of their education. I was as qualified as I could be from a nutrition coach perspective. So, and then performance nutrition reared its head. I was like, ooh. Elite performance, soldier, push, harder, triathlon, ultra marathons, strongman, Olympic weightlifting, elite level CrossFit. I was like, this is all cool. How do I do that? As a nutrition coach, how do I make that work? And all of that kind of bled into this bundling joy of enthusiasm that I am, as you've seen when I get excited and talk about food. Yeah. But it's just this passion to learn more. And I said to you, not even a few weeks ago, put me in a room with somebody who can prove me wrong. Because I want to know things I don't know. I want to be told I'm wrong so I can learn. And that's, for me, the nutrition side of things becomes really powerful in that aspect. Because I can go and help people truly understand, past bullshit, how to unlock performance. Because fat loss is a great goal. But it's also the first line on the first page of the book, right? Of what you're capable of as a human being. As a man, what are you able to do? Trust me, lose 5 kilos is the easiest thing.
Yeah.
And that's when I start thinking about that. I'm like, think of all the people I could impact. And the people I've coached now up until this point. I'm still going. It just makes me so happy.
I love that, man. I love that. Thank you for sharing. It's
Right.
Interesting the sort of the journey to unlocking the power of nutrition, and also you know your enthusiasm. Everyone who's worked with you knows your enthusiasm, and it's contagious. And your approach, I really respect and enjoy, because and one of the reasons we talk sort of about challenge and being surrounded by men who are open to meeting with differing perspectives. You know, when we first met, I think you were just about to go off on one about Eddie Abu, and I was like, Adam, just to pause you there. If there's like a sliding scale of where we are in terms of Eddie and the rest of the fitness industry, I'm on Eddie's side. And you're like, oh, okay. Because my philosophy, and you know, I take accountability and ownership over my own issues around food, like binge eating, emotional eating, pretty much struggling with eating disorders or addiction and stuff like that. So it is way more, I have a certain perspective around food and my own challenges around that. And I understand that where I'm at, I'm also obviously been interested in nutrition. I've also done one of the BTN qualifications many, many years ago. I've been punched in the head way too much since then, so I can't remember much of it. But I've kind of refined. So my general outlook, my eating is pretty good. And it's also like, I'm very like no chemicals as much as possible. And don't get me wrong, and it swings, and we've discussed this. All right, I'm going to go stuff my face full of pizza and other rubbish. I'm proud to say I don't do that anymore. I eat pizza because that was part of you're like, Daniel, you've got to eat pizza. What's that one thing that you love? I was like, yeah, it's pizza. Got to eat pizza then. So I took you up on that. But it's just understanding where I'm at on my nutrition journey, on my journey towards health. And what I love about your approach is you meet people where they're at. And you also balance out my philosophy or my perspective. And your big thing and the thing that was important for me was that as a brand, we're not encouraging people to eat highly processed foods. Yes, meet people where they're at, but at the same time, I'm seeing a big trend in the fitness industry where every PT is constantly checking in on a daily basis with a can of Monster in their hands. And for me, and this is again your science and data, I'm philosophy and intuition. It makes no sense to me why we're putting so much chemical laden BS in our bodies. I think there's a reason that 1 in 2 people have cancer, and for me it's just a bit suspicious. So intuitively I'm like, can we eat whole food? Can we get people to drink water? Whilst also, if you need to meet them where they're at, Adam, that's your department. You do that bit, because I know I've got my shit and I take ownership over that.
But I think as well, when we look at nutrition, right? My mantra is single ingredient whole food as much as possible.
Yeah.
That's my that's how I start with everybody. That as much as possible is a sliding scale, but I'm always going to try and move people towards scale and accepting the pizza. Like, I'm a big fan of donuts, right? Big fan. So for someone to tell me I can't do that, I'm going to fight against it. But if we understand, okay, where are we? If that's the one thing, fine. If you're eating good nutrient-dense whole foods as much as possible, for most of the time, hydrating well, not overconsumption of other alcohol, of energy drinks, of caffeine, of other carbonated beverages. I'm not saying any of these. I'm not saying you can't, because the moment you say can't, that's you're on a losing scale.
Yeah,
it's human nature. And I'm going to challenge everybody now who's listening to this podcast. I'm going to challenge you, Daniel. Don't think about elephants. What are you thinking about? You think about it. And if I tell you not to eat a certain thing because it's bad, human beings are going to go, I'm not listening to you, you weird ginger-bearded dude. I'm gonna do what I want, because we don't like being told this. So it's about, like you said, meeting somebody where they're at, but sliding the scale to that point where, okay, are we doing what we can? Because for you, your eating habits, I agree with you, are solid. I think they're really good. Having eaten and broken bread with you several times, I think we're in a good place. Just titivating based upon the goal at the time.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that you bring is the sort of the gold standard and the bronze standard, and I think that's really helpful, because I think one thing, and I see this a lot about in the nutrition and fitness industry, but actually it's across the board with basically everything in modern society, is that I think people struggle to acknowledge that there is a gold standard, whilst accepting the fact that they're not always gonna, if rarely gonna meet it. And for some reason, I think it's an ego thing. I think it's like there's work to do there. That bit in the middle, they seem to translate that, I can't meet gold standards, so I'm actually going to excuse and promote the thing I want to do, like either the chocolate bars, the diet drinks, the alcohol. Alcohol's a real prime example. There's so much evidence to say alcohol's a real issue. Like, it's a problem. And most people who drink alcohol will drink more than they want to. But instead of acknowledging alcohol's a problem and it's really not good for me, but I enjoy it and I'm not willing to give it up, they kind of defend their right to drink alcohol, and they defend alcohol and kind of be like, yeah, but it's not that bad for you. It's not this. They'll look for studies that and it's like, hang on, just accept that it's not good for you, but you want it in your life. That's okay. That's okay too. But do you know what I mean? So I find that always interesting why people can't hold those two things in the same respect. It's like, I know there's a gold standard, in my opinion, of how I want to act as a man. I know that I fail that every single day, and it can be a little bit crushing and frustrating, but I'm holding that gold standard high, and I'm aspiring every day. And that's why I think your gold standard and your bronze standard can really help meet that bridge.
Yeah, we evaluate that as well. Like you said there, people use it as an excuse for behaviour that maybe isn't the best. But the thing that we do, like that you and I do, is go, well, how many days were bronze over the past month? And we go, why? Why was it 15? Why was it 20? What happened? Because then the issue isn't the food, it's the habit.
Yeah.
How often do people look for the perfect solution? Oh, what's the perfect day of eating? Well, that's a very silly question. Like, because it's about understanding where you're at, and if you're using that mentality of like, well, bronze standard is good enough, it is, but there are also side effects of bronze standard. You're probably not going to. Your digestive system's probably going to be in a bit of rag. You're probably not going to feel as good. You're not going to feel as energized. But if you constantly accept bronze standard for half of the month, we need to evaluate that, and we need to understand why.
Yeah. I think sometimes as well that because life's so busy and it is hard to eat well. It's hard. Like society and like just everything makes it hard. From the way the supermarkets are laid out to if you go into the petrol stations, whatever, there's chocolate bars everywhere. To get fast food is always junk food. Having said that, there are getting better alternatives, and if we educate people can make better choices. But it can be really challenging to do this. But it's acknowledging that and being like, okay, what's the alternative? Do we just surrender and be like, I'm just going to be fat, overweight, miserable?
Struggle. And like one thing I do find really interesting as well, you said yourself that at times in your life you've been obese, you've been overweight. Interestingly, the receptors in your brain that deal with cravings are stronger than that of a person who's been a healthy weight their entire life. So when somebody is obese and they have that like craving to eat XYZ, and you get, I don't know, Jenny on Instagram who's always been 5'2" and 50 kilos, and it's like, well, just stop craving it. You don't need to just say no. Actually, Jenny from Instagram, that person who's feeling that craving is feeling it at a far higher intensity than you ever have. And the same is still the same if you lose that weight.
Yeah, that's interesting.
When you are go to like a steady weight of like, okay, I'm healthy, I'm strong, I'm fit and able, you will feel the craving stronger than somebody then of the same body weight as you, which is crazy to think. Like, so somebody going, oh, just don't eat it, because you're right. Where I live now, I could literally walk 150 meters and have all of the ultra processed fast food I want.
Yeah.
Is the system set up to fail you? That's a different conversation for a different podcast. But what I think is really important is the accountability of what you are saying is your gold and bronze standard.
Yeah.
Because if you turn away from bronze standard, that's got nothing to do with food choices. It's got nothing to do with the availability of what you've got around you. You deliberately turned away from what you know is correct and you know you're trying to be.
Yeah. And and then that leads into all the other aspects of ultimately why I got into this work, into men's work. It's the mindset, it's the emotional, what is going on emotionally, what's going on relationally for you, how are you feeling in this moment, and increasing men's self-awareness to these triggers, to understanding what's going on, and also being really honest and be like, are you really feeling lonely, and are you really feeling or are you being lazy and do you just want to basically shove a bunch of chocolate down your face? Because that's okay too, as long as we're being really honest about it. But if you've set a goal, that's where the accountability comes in. That's where they're like, the men come in and be like, dude, we've got work to do. You're not showing up as the man you want to be, and we know you want to be because we've had this conversation. And that's the importance of brotherhood, of men around you who are going to call you out and not give you permission to fall to your lower standard, to your lower self. So with performance nutrition, you spoke about your strongman athletes, ultra marathon and everything. How does that fit, and how does that look for you when working with a variety of men who aren't going into these say extreme athletic feats, men who are just want to be the best version of themselves or the best fathers they can be? How do you approach that?
This is more about, so you're right, performance aspect. When I say performance, I don't mean just those athletes of like strongman levels. Performance is a wide spectrum, right? Those athletes that work at the top end of those levels, and it's great and it's difficult and blah, blah, blah. But when we look at the day-to-day man, the person that we work with in the Brotherhood, in Make Ready, the way I focus this is all about understanding your routines, your habits, and the consistency to it. Because if I can get you to be 80% consistent to a strategy to achieve a goal in this period of time, and if I can get you to do that for 6 months, I guarantee you will be further along than if you just go, right, I'm locking in, and you do it for 3 weeks at 100%. Because, so for me, it's not about putting the brakes on men, not at all. It's not about that. It's about, right, the difference between good and great is the consistency day-to-day routine. You can do that 100% of the time. If you can do that, you're going to be light years ahead of where you are now. And we've seen that with the people we've worked with. Yeah. We've seen those changes and the realization from somebody that there is no magic pill. Okay? To use a pop culture reference, Morpheus isn't coming with a red and a blue pill. It's not happening. It's your habits, your consistency, your day-to-day turns you away from that sort of stuff. And if I can unlock that with you from a food aspect of getting you thinking in a healthy manner towards your food intake, that it's not all or nothing. It's not a switch. You know what I'm going to say? It's not a switch. It's a dial. Okay, and I didn't make that up. Dials, not switches. It's not me. By a company called the GBRS Group, just to make sure anybody calls me out for stealing stuff. But if it's a switch, if you're like, right, I'm on. Are you? Okay. What happens when that's not on? Oh, I'm off. Then that's nothing. But if we can turn down the dial, say we've got a couple of dials in our lives, right? One needs to be turned up because I've got to do X. Okay, let's turn this one. Okay, that one now is turned up. Let's turn it up a bit. Understanding that there are different parts of our lives which require that from us. And showing the men, like, right, this is how I want you to think. This is how I want you to approach your food, approach your nutrition. Because how often do we see that as a domino? Of like, right, I've got this, and then that becomes this, and that becomes this, and that. And before you know it, they're in a completely different stratosphere to who they are. That's still performance nutrition. Still performance, because we as a group of people have worked together to take that person from where they are, or where they've been, to where they are now, which is like years ahead.
Yeah. I love that. And I know that resonates with so many of the men we work with. And I do wish we had a pill sometimes of just, of like an awareness pill. Because I have challenged myself. I'd be like, oh, Daniel, are people genuinely happy when they're like walking around at 2-3 stone overweight? Genuinely. And I personally think they're lying to themselves, or they just have no idea what having a lower body fat percentage and more muscle feels like. And I wish I could give them a pill, because then they'd be like, let's do it, let's go. Because those pictures, I've got a great photo album of all those peaks. 121 kilos. I'm sitting around 95, 96 kilos at the moment, but 121's heavy for me. I had to fight some monsters. You know, some big men. I should not be 121 kilos. I was not happy at that weight. I was really struggling with my mental health at that time. I was not feeling good. What happens when you start to lose weight? You start to move better. You start to feel better. You start to look in the mirror. Like, shiny surfaces does take a bit more time of your day, I must admit. When you're starting to feel good, you're like, yes, I'm feeling good about myself. Guess what? I'm a better father when I'm leaner. I'm a better partner. I have more energy to play with my daughter. I'm showing up to work better. And that for me is the capability piece.
100%. When you look at what people talk about when it comes to they want that magic pill, what's the one right now that most men are sucked into? Is TRT.
Yeah.
TRT, right? And when we look at TRT from my testosterone's low, I need to go and spend 10 grand on a testosterone cycle from this company. But when we look at actually that person's sleeping 4 hours a night, they're overweight, they're not strength training, they're a diet high in ultra processed food, which means high in saturated and trans fats, and high in sodium. It's no wonder your testosterone levels are low. You're not getting outside, you're not getting your steps in. Before you go and drop 10 grand on something, can we just, for a second, focus on the thing that works, which is reducing body fat levels, eating more whole food, sleeping more effectively. A good friend of mine once said, sleep like a king. Yeah. If you can do that, you can start well. Last time you slept 9 hours, how good did you feel when you woke up? Like, yeah, this is the one.
My partner's due our second child in 5 weeks, so I'm trying to bank as many as them as I can right now.
Is that how it works? You like bang?
Yeah, yeah. All the dads are screaming at this podcast. So like new dads have been like 9 hours. I'd be lucky if I get more.
I've also got an 8-year-old daughter, so I know that I know the pain. I've been there with the no sleep, and obviously you're second, so you know that too. So we're not sat here, like those, you see people like, I don't know, these young people like, oh yeah, you just need to have the best habits in the world. Like, yes, cheers, you don't have any adversity in your life whatsoever. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say advice to younger self. You have no idea how good you've got it when you don't have kids. You have no idea how much time you've got. Get off your games console, stop eating junk food and go out and make something yourself, because you've got so much time.
Well, I feel like you listen to what I've said to myself today. Like this exact thing, like, you idiot, Adam.
Yeah. That's it, man. Yeah, thank you. Capability. That's what we're looking to create impact in men's lives, and this is why the physical pillar is so important. Because truly, if there's that saying, I'm going to butcher it now. If you don't make time for your health, you have to make time for your illness, or you're forced to make time for your illness. And it's so true. It's so true. And I really believe if men unlock that health, they're going to unlock so much more in their lives. They're going to have so much energy to show up to the world, and so much of it is habits. And I talk a lot on habits. That's what we do. We try and make what's the minimal thing. I've done the cage fights. I've done the ultra marathons. I've done all that stuff, and I yo-yo, and it's not good, But the consistency, the showing up on a daily basis, and guess what I'm doing by doing that? I'm modeling. I'm showing my daughter what healthy relationships towards life is, towards food is. And I'm being that man I want to be on a daily basis. Not just when, because I've trained for one specific event. It's like, out of the 365 days of the year, how many of those days are we meeting the standard we set for ourselves? It starts with the physical, in my opinion.
It's probably the biggest domino.
Yeah.
You solve that, you solve 90% of your issues.
For sure. All right, dude. How do you feel?
Feel good. Good to get this
Yeah.
first one.
First one in the bag.
Yeah, man. So,
Right, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We are opening up an intake into the threshold, into the Make Ready Brotherhood. It's a 4-week program where you benefit from joining the Brotherhood. It's a standalone program and it's the entry point into the Brotherhood, into the Make Ready. And you get the benefit of both the group support of the Brotherhood as well as one-to-one coaching. You get nutrition coaching from Adam. You get strategy coaching from me. We unpack where you're going in your life. We're going to help get you some clarity, improve your capability to show up as the man you want to be, and we'll give you more confidence. So please share, subscribe to this episode, and yeah, we look forward to bringing you a lot more. Till next time.
this team.